2 Tower Chimps is an achievement in Bloons Tower Defense 6 where you need to complete a Chimps game using just 2 towers. Today we're going to be trying to do this with the Inferno Ring and the Dark Champion. Obviously we can only start with the Tack shooter. I was thinking of putting it over here, but then I realized for round 62 and other rounds like 63, we kind of need a little bit more coverage of this ring up here in order to actually utilize our build here. Yeah, I imagine the Crusher is going to be used a few times throughout this video in order for us to be able to progress and succeed in this scenario. And we can't even get like long range attacks and super range attacks when we get hot shots because we won't get ultra vision for round 33. Here's the crux of this challenge, honestly. What I have, oh, for goodness sake, he's on that one, thank you. So here's the crux of this challenge. We cannot get Ring of Fire on round 62. We can only get it on round 63. We cannot get Plasma Blasts for round 62. But of course, we need them in order to deal with the Camo Leads on round 59. So where does that leave us then? Well, we need to get Hot Shots and 203 Dark Knight in order to actually get through between round 59 and 62. Hot Shots needed for round 62 and 203 Super for round 59 to be able to deal with lead, but it's not very nice to deal with the purples around 62 because, well, it can't actually pop the purples on round 62 because it's got the plasma damage type. Some of them though are, not all of them, because with Spirit of the Forest and Dark Champion you can just simply get Spirit of the Forest before trying to contend with the fact that you have a lack of damage with the Dark Knight when you go into the free play rounds, but you can offset that by having another means of popping camo balloons in the form of the Spirit of the Forest's vines that grows on the track. But with this tower we can only rely on the fireballs that it shoots out from its Inferno Ring in order to deal with any kind of camo threat, and we're going to deal with that, and I think that's actually a big mistake of doing. Yeah, we're going to restart the round. Yellow balloons are obviously the biggest bane in all of our existence, and it would be... Why do they pop this time but not the other time? That makes no sense. Exactly the same positioning, exactly the same attack pattern. I don't get it. I don't like inconsistency within these kind of games because it feels like you're doing nothing else, but at the same time you are doing something else because obviously something else is occurring. Me do not like. I prefer consistency over inconsistency. It's all very similar towards encountering a unreplicable bug inside a game. Not just like this one, but any game where you discover a bug, but then you're trying to replicate that bug in order to isolate and solve on how to fix the bug itself, but then you're not really be able to fathom out how to replicate the bug and be able to like isolate the cause of the bug. So therefore you're just really stuck on what to do in order to try and replicate the bug because you know it's there, you've seen it happen, but A, you didn't record it because you didn't record it, and B, well, now we've got a irreplicable bug on our hands. I don't know how to say that word, honestly. Okay, this is why Scrapyard is a unique map when it comes to certain 2TCs. Round 24 is usually one of the biggest stoppers because of the camo balloon on the round. So by using the Crusher, you're able to eliminate said camo balloon that spawns very early on before any kind of like super monkey combos could be properly utilized, because you're not able to really afford ultra vision by the time you round 24 comes on. So super monkey is pretty difficult unless you have the other tower that can actually detect camo balloons, because this is our sole camo popping tower. Get knockback, and then as soon as we have the money for it, we'll get ultra vision installed onto our super monkey here. I just realized I named my super monkey Jedi Master. While thinking of doing that, we must concentrate our fire on that superstar destroyer. Round 32 going down like that, and now if we actually purchase long range attacks, we wouldn't be able to actually get ultra vision. So that is why we need to hold off from this particular purchase Now, our next purchase, are we going to go with Dark Knight, or I think we should not only increase our range, but also increase the pierce as well, because this description is a little bit skeptical. It does say that it can pop more balloons, but it doesn't say that it's like it does more damage per attack, or if it can actually travel through more balloons. Like, if it says it can, like, damage... I'm going off topic now, honestly. Round 36, camo regrow greens. This round would be unstoppable if they were camo yellow greens. Sorry, camo yellow regrows. Oh, I'm really tired. Camo white balloons? No, thank you. Once again, round 38, round 37 had leads. This round also has leads. Like, it would be kind of wise to go for 302, but we're missing out on a lot of pierce, which we desperately need for the early game, especially for like round 63, where the Dark Knight kind of sucks with its pierce unless you go for middle part, but you can't go for middle part because then you have no means of being able to deal with the camo leads on round 59, and no, you can't rely on the crusher because you won't be able to crush all of the camo leads because they are too separated apart in order to use more than once in a round. Even though they are slow, they are not that slow. The Dark Champion can see a little bit over here, but I honestly think that on certain rounds, having it be able to briefly attack a balloon, especially if it's a regrow balloon, is more of a detriment more than anything else. So perhaps putting it over here for the time being is best. We can't upgrade to Plasma Blast because we've got the round 47 camo regrow purple balloons to deal with, and obviously our hot shots cannot do anything against camos at all. If a few rounds between round 59 and 62 were switched up, I think certain 2TC combos could be more viable or even like possible in order to perform, because round 61 has a huge bunch of zebra balloons in which you would really benefit having Plasma Blast on. But remember, after that round, you have the purple balloons in order to deal with there, so you don't really want to have Plasma Blast on them because you can't really hit them. So if you were to, let's say, have round 62 first before round 59, then you could deal with the purples, then deal with the camo leads afterwards, because then you can just go into Plasma Blast rather than having to have the other tower rely on that. But then again, that would just be more 2TC oriented rather than everything else, and we need to switch our positioning with the Dark Knight over here. Perhaps putting you up there would be better. Is this going to be any better over here? So far, things are looking very good here, I think. We've got all these regrows to try and deal with, and the Dark Knight, it kind of encourages regrows because it doesn't do enough damage in order to destroy everything. Let's go to Plasma Blast now. Really needed in order to deal with the camo leads from round 59. And also round 61 has zebra balloons, so for some of you explosive fans like myself out there with a mortar, shattering shells is not good against zebra balloons, and round 61 has a huge bunch of zebra balloons on them. Yeah, putting you up here gives you early access to popping the Moabs over here, which is pretty good. But again, it can kind of encourage regrows to regrow if you don't destroy them. Like, this is a good damaging tower, but when it comes to its pierce, it's actually pretty bad unless you pursue middle path. Like, this is not, even though it does say it has, like, increased pierce, you don't really notice it in comparison to the, like, a 202 or a 002. It doesn't really have increased pierce, I feel like, when you turn out to Dark Knight. When you go up to Dark Champion, it definitely has more pierce, but Dark Knight, this feels like it's kind of like Rosalia's Adrenaline Rush, where you get the upgrade, but you just don't notice it. Round 59. Upgrading up to Plasma Blast while having camo section, this is for sole reason, and also as you can tell, we can't use the crusher in order to crush all of the camo leads on this round because there is just not enough. Well, there's not enough crusher in order to crush them all, okay? BFB. definitely what you would call inbound. I'm going to move you over here actually mid-round so that then we don't have to deal with these regrows over here and we can just get on with what is in front of us here. After round 62, we can upgrade to Arena Fire, but before then, we're kind of just stuck with what we've got going on at the moment. Okay, round 62. This is the round in which I'm really worried about because of our lack of being able to pop balloons. I'm going to move you over here just so that you have a bit more of an angle over here, dear Dark Knight. Yeah, oh my goodness sakes, our inability to pop anything with the Dark Knight while it's over here is really hammering us. Perhaps doing a warp there is better, but again with this, it's like we're not in a good position over here. Okay, so let me move you over here actually, so that you can actually deal with anything rather than being blocked by purple balloons, but it's still looking very bad. Oh my God, I do not like this. Oh, there's just too many purple balloons, for goodness sakes. It's really blocking my projectiles. If you don't know how damage type works, essentially, if you are having a damage type issue against a particular kind of balloon, it's because of the fact that, well, let's say, for example, with plasma against purple, plasma can't pop purples unless it's under MI. Oh, we can actually go up to Arena Fire now. I've just forgotten about that. Essentially, it decreases the PS of our attack from whatever it is to 0. And if you have a PS of 0, it means it just doesn't damage anything. So you could have a damage of 1 quadrillion, but if your PS is 0, then it doesn't have any damage. Okay, there's round 63 done and dusted. And I think actually the only other round which is going to give us concern is round 76. I'm going to move the Dark Knight back over here, just so that we have that option of being able to move either back up to this box or be able to go over here. But I think our purple threats are essentially done and dusted. Next time we're going to encounter purple balloons is on round 78, but we're going to be able to have Dark Champion by then. Don't want to go up to Inferno Ring because purple problems. Although Explosion is very unique because even though it can't pop black balloons and zebra balloons where you would probably think that it would stop the explosion itself, but it still pops everything within its radius, like if it's not a black balloon or a zebra balloon. But when it comes to other kinds of projectiles, explosions are unique because it can't pop blacks and zebra balloons, but it can still pop anything that is not a black or zebra balloon because of how the projectile works. It's a splash damage, has an area of radius, I was supposed to say area of radius, splash area, however you want to call it. It's not like it fires in a straight line, something like a Dark Knight over here with plasma does, or the worst form of it is energy, which is essentially you can't pop either lead or purple balloons, which I think is the worst damage type in the entire game. Like, I really don't like energy. I don't find it having any strengths over something like sharp or plasma, aside from the fact that energy can pop frozen balloons, but then it's like you can't pop like the two most common threats in a chimps game, which are purple balloons and lead balloons. But then with explosives, obviously black balloons and zebra balloons are a big problem, but then you can mitigate that with another tower, but that other tower may not be able to mitigate all of its issues. Despite what the balloon's tower defense index says about Arena Fire, it's actually a pretty cool tower. Not like temperature cool, but if you pair it with super range Tack, it does have a surprising amount of pierce, which is going to be very needed for round 76. It doesn't have the DOT like the Dark Knight has, but it definitely has the pierce to make it up for like going against lots of weaker balloons. Something I've been thinking about for a while is just doing a video, like a big project video discussing like every single tower in the game and how they are compatible in the 2-tower chimp scenario, because there are lots of towers which are incredibly compatible to it, such as the ability to see camo balloons and be able to pop purple balloons, lead balloons, black balloons, be able to interact with DDTs. Like, there's a lot of factors I feel like that's going to go into the video itself, which is going to be like, okay, so out of a mark of 10, where does this tower go to and what makes it go in that slot because of what it can do? So for example, Dark Champion is a very compatible tower, because when you go up to Dark Champion, regardless of the cross path that you've chosen, it punches and ruins all balloon types, which is very compatible to its description and what it can actually do in the game, unlike another tower which has had its damage type changed from normal to explosion, but the description still says it can damage all balloon types. I'm looking at you, the big one. Obviously 2TC is less accessible than 2 megapops, I feel, because 2 megapops, you can essentially do it on any map within the game. You could even do a 2 megapops of Geraldo on Glacial Trail, for example, which has been done, or Permaspike, which has been done on Glacial Trail. But 2 tower chimps, it's more it's only really favorable on beginner maps, a lot of intermediate maps, and only a few advanced maps. Like I've seen like Glavelord Mad done on Water Park and Cornfield and Dark Path, if I remember correctly. Okay, here's round 75, done and dusted, going on to round 76 now. And this is kind of where I'm a little bit skeptical over here. I may need to use the Crusher at some point. Okay, use the Crusher on the frontmost, but oh my god. That's only a few balloons. That's actually doable. But I just need to position our Dark Knight over here just a little bit better. Put you on there, but not be able to attack over to this side over here, possibly. I'm not too sure now. Let's have a look here. I think that is... yeah, we just run our Pierce with our Arena Fire. And that's done and dusted, actually. That's pretty good. That's brilliant. Using the Crusher on round 76. And that is our last time that we need to use it. Because on this round, we're gonna have a Dark Champion up and running. Or at least on round 78 anyways. Do some damage on these BFBs, and then hopefully we'll be able to deal with the rest of this and go up to Dark Champion. There it is. Now all of our problems are gone, and we now have an entire map coverage of our warp ability here. Round 78. Ceramics. Yeah, our Pierce issue has been largely gone now. Purple balloons, we've got the normal damage type now, which is brilliant. We can pop all different kind of balloons with the Dark Champion. Thank you, Ninja Kiri, for adding that to the 60k upgrade of this particular tower. Obviously, you can't get Legends of the Night in Chimps. Obviously, you could probably do it in some custom maps if they're long enough, be able to get yourself a Legend of the Night, but I think in normal runs, even like going up to around 140, you could probably afford Legend of the Night, but it's being able to actually get it. That's the main thing. Like going up to Dark Champion, and then just having the means of the Dark Champion itself in order to actually get to that point. We can actually put you over here, and then when we want to, we can put it back over here, and then over here. Essentially, these boxes are our points of access in order to place our Dark Champion, just so that it can do as much damage as possible. Things are going very well. Our Arena Fire here is just sitting at the back over here doing absolutely nothing at the moment. Your purpose has ultimately ended. We have our star of a show up here involving the Dark Champion. Do you prefer 204 Dark Champion or 024 Dark Champion? I think in certain cases 024 is better because of its increased range and increased pierce, but then in order to actually get up to this point in the first place, maybe you would want to have the increased damage per projectile with the Plasma Blast, or increased damage, better damage type. Like Sharp is better than Energy, I feel, but then Plasma is up for debate because its only weakness are purples. You think that with Plasma itself, its weakness is not the same kind of coloring as the projectile coloring itself, but alas it is. But that's only with the Dark Knight, not the Dark Champion, as you saw earlier. Round 90, we've got DDTs here, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Like, we could even just leave this at Arena Fire and it's not going to be able to do anything, honestly. Dearie me. Perhaps we'll even just leave it at Arena Fire just to show that, you know, Arena Fire can do a 2TC. It's just not the kind of 2TC that you think it is. Now, I already said at the beginning of the video we're going to go with Inferno Ring, so we're going to stick with it. Otherwise, I have to do a re-recording where I say Arena Fire rather than Inferno Ring, and then I've got this here already enabled. So, the only differing factor would be the end result at the end of the day here. DDTs absolutely destroyed. Perhaps the fortified ones will be a bit more of a challenge for us, but nothing to worry about. Like, the next video I'm going to do after this one is going to involve the Dark Champion again, but not in a 2TC scenario, but in a 23 MP scenario. So that is definitely more than enough of a hint as to what the next video will be. Some towers are capable of going up to around 140, and if you didn't know, going from round 6 to 140 has like 23,095,000 pops, so I don't know why, but I just think one day if NinjaQ ever decides to add that particular kind of scenario in, then it would obviously only ever be possible on like custom challenges, because, well, in a normal scenario, a game only ever goes up to around 100. But it's like, when it comes to like the preset rounds of what is certain to be deployed down, then obviously going up to around 140 is like the last round, where back-to-back rounds it has a set number of balloons that spawns out, and you know what's going to come within that round. Whereas like 141 up to around 162, it's all a mishmash. There could be a bat that spawns, or it could just be other things that spawn, or a combination of both, or anything along those lines there. It's like, those rounds are very unpredictable to try and measure, so therefore I wouldn't want to go to, let's say, a... People have been asking me to do like a Gigantosaurus like round 200 scenario, and I'm like, but you don't know how many pops you're gonna get. You could be lucky where you get a bunch of bads, or you could be unlucky and you just get yourself a bunch of DDTs, which don't contribute much towards the pop count. So round 98 is definitely very interesting right now. Very interesting. Oh my god, I'm gonna warp you over there. Yeah, Dark Champion, you've definitely fallen off there, for goodness sakes. What on earth happened to you in that scenario? Yeah, we're gonna keep our Dark Champion over here. Gonna put you up there now. Yeah, round 98 was definitely a bit more skeptical than other rounds, but it could be just the fact that our Dark Champion was in a position where it didn't utilize its strength to its fullest. So I'm going to move you over here, actually, just so that when it comes to warping you up to this box over here, we can do so in a timely manner. But we don't really need to do that, do we now? Do we? Now, the Tack shooter up here can do with the rest, just as you saw right there. So there were a few troublesome rounds in this particular scenario. Like round 98 was looking a little bit skeptical. Like, there were a few towers which are going outside of the Inferno Ring's range there. Alongside, like, round 62 was definitely a bit of a bugger. One of those early 10s rounds where that yellow balloon was about to go down south, but we had to use the crusher, but I didn't like the idea of that, so we went back to the previous round, and obviously, not previous round, but went back to the start of the current round, and did all that kind of jazz right there. So there we go, folks. That is the Inferno Ring and Dark Champion 2TC. I definitely would think that Arena Fire would definitely be possible if you just put your Dark Champion up here and use the Crusher throughout the round, just so that you're able to deal with some of the excess balloons. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what other kind of scenario you'd like to see me do next on the channel. Like I said earlier, we'll be definitely doing a 23 mega pop scenario using the Dark Champion, alongside hopefully being able to use Ultra Boost and Homeland Defense, alongside putting down other villages around logs, just because of the Dark Champion's ability to warp around, like be able to use all of the space on the map in order to pop the fortified band on around 140. Like you definitely need to use the warping ability, otherwise you're just not going to be able to do the damage. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let me know what you thought of this video down in the comment sections below. And I heard that if you do not subscribe, you will be stuck with a 600% boss health for the rest of your gaming experience on this game. Although some of you probably call that easy. Thank you all so much for watching and take care of yourselves, everybody.